When you think of the new Harry Potter TV show coming out on HBO, what are the things that you definitely do not want them to change from the original source material? It's a little bit of a tricky question because anytime there's an adaptation, there are going to be changes. And I'm okay with a little bit of changes, just a little bit, as long as they make sense and they make the story better. But at the same time, there are certainly things that I definitely do not want them to change from the original books. And that's kind of the heart behind today's discussion. I messaged a friend of mine. You might know him as Brett's Thoughts, and we talked all about this. And this video is actually a part 2 of a much longer conversation, where in part 1, we talked about the 10 things that we actually would want them to change from the Harry Potter canon. And that video is out already. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But in this part of the video, in this part of the discussion, we talk about the top 10 things that we definitely do not want them to change from the Harry Potter canon. I have my list of 5, Brett has his list of 5, and we each take a cool different approach in making our lists, so there's a good bit of difference in there. But I hope you enjoyed the video. We had a wonderful time making it. If you like it and you want to hear me talk more about Harry Potter and people like Brett talk more about Harry Potter, be sure to check out my podcast, Retold, a fantasy podcast, where I go through the Harry Potter books 2 chapters at a time, talking about what happens, highlighting cool lore and behind the scenes things. We get into fan fiction, we play trivia, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But without further ado, enjoy the video.
He's more than an athlete. He's an artist.
I think you're in love, Ron.
Shut up. Victor, I love you. Victor, I do. When we're apart, my heart beats only.
Harry Potter! Hey, my eyes aren't glistening with the ghost of my past.
I'm not an owl.
Technically, it's a fact.
Ah, c'est magnifique!
Kill the stag. I'm on a Barty Crouch.
Behaving like a babbling, bumbling band of baboons.
Junior.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to Retold, the show where I retell you my favorite story of all time, Harry Potter. And with me this week, I am joined by Brett from Brett's Thoughts. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Barry.
Brett and I just recorded an episode where we talked about the 10 things, you can't see in my hands, there we go, 10 things we would want changed from Harry Potter canon in the HBO show. What we're going to do now is talk about the 10 things that would make us the most mad. Like the 10 things we definitely don't want changed at all. And I, if you've listened to the previous episode, listeners, you'll kind of get somewhat of a thought of how we are approaching this. But with this particular list, the thing I want to do is, at least the rule that I set for myself is, I'm not just doing random changes. I want to talk about things that I think are in danger of being changed. Like things that have a potential that they might do that I'm like, I really hope they don't, really hope they don't. Because you could just change anything and make it silly. Like we talked before of Hagrid's not a half giant anymore. It's like, why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. But things that are in danger. And so that's what we're going to talk about this episode. And I also, just to steer clear of some danger, one of the things I hate, Brett, is I hate when people just are so daggum negative for a whole episode of something, when they just sound pessimistic and sad. I'm very optimistic about the HBO show. I'm very hopeful. I think it's going to be great. I'm going to choose to believe that it will be.
Love that from you. I'm with you, especially having seen the trailer that just came out. I'm like, it sort of took my highest hopes and just smashed them out of the park. I think it looked fantastic. I think the details from the book, like the tiny granular little references, like that coat hanger hanging under the stairs.
Yes,
and I'm like,
I love
these
that.
tiny details that they're picking up on. I'm like, it just took everything I could have hoped it would be and smashed it out of the park. So I'm extremely excited for it as well.
Yeah. And just a sidebar, thank you so much for that video, because I got to be the person in my friend's lives who was like, by the way, did you notice that hanger right there? That's a gift that I stole it from you, but like literally a lot of the things you said in your video, I was like, by the way, guys, did you know this?
It is my greatest joy in life to try and make other people sound smarter than they are. So by all means, take it.
Well, thank you very much. And so listeners, if typically what I do on this show, I didn't say it at the top, but what I do is I recap the Harry Potter series chapter by chapter. Brett was on an episode for Goblet of Fire. Check that out. But we're excited about the HBO show right now. The trailer just came out, so that's why we're doing this. Let's get it kicked off. 5 changes. How about you begin, since I began last time?
Yeah, happy to. And if you have come directly from the previous episode, I'm going to be probably touching on similar themes, but just like with different ways that they're just sort of doing it. So no spoilers for the previous episode if you haven't listened yet, but you will see some parallels between this point and one I made there. I don't want them to curse child anything. I don't want hints at it. I don't want any suggestion that they are, when this series is done, that they are going to do a cursed child series, because I don't even think it's good as a stage play. It's maybe fine as like a single part. I saw the double part, the long version in London, and I like fell asleep twice.
Did
I don't
you
think
really?
It's that. Yeah, man. And I really tried not to, believe me.
I just went and saw the play in Atlanta. They had it at the Fox Theater. And one of the things I said, like, very emphatically was, the story is trash. But the play was wonderful. Like, I had a fun time with it.
But it's one part, right? Where you are?
It was one part.
So for us, I think they're changing it soon, but it's 2 parts. So you go and you watch 3 and a bit hours, or like 2, almost 3 hours. Then you have a break, and then you go back and watch another like almost 3 hour second part, right?
That's a long time.
And they've condensed the story. It's a long time, and like there's a lot of very stationary scenes, like where you say even it's a good play. I'm like, there was a scene where I remember it was 20 minutes of just 2 characters sat on stage talking, but neither of them moved at all. I'm like, where is your blocking? Like, move around the space to make it dynamic. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair.
Anyway, that is a tangent we don't need to go into. I just think The Cursed Child it's fine for what it is-ish, but like, we don't need it to come to this medium. It doesn't need to be on screen. We don't need to legitimize this plot anymore within the world of Harry Potter.
You don't want to see Scorpius and Albus in the background of the Goblet of Fire doing stuff?
No, I do not, weirdly. But more than that, I love time travel done well. And I can deal with time travel with the rules that are set up in The Prisoner of Azkaban, but not only does the Cursed Child break them, but like the Cursed Child seems to break every rule about time travel ever. And I'm just like, I don't want any part of it. I don't care about the epilogue featuring these children of all these people that are married 20 years later. Like, none of that is of interest to me, and I don't want to see any of it.
I think so. I completely agree. And that's actually one of my honorable mentions. So I'll just say it here, was that I don't want Cursed Child lore to become canonized in the HBO show, except for the one thing that I think could just be a fun Easter egg, not have anything special with it, but just for it to be seen in the background, is Harry's baby blanket. I think that'd be a fun little Easter egg to include in there. And maybe it's something that, at least maybe it's something that he kept. So that wouldn't necessarily canonize Cursed Child, but it would, like, I don't know, it'd be a fun Easter egg, as I keep saying. But yeah. That's the only thing I would be okay with, I feel.
Barry, because you suggested it, I will allow it, but nothing else.
You hear that? Good job, Barry. Pat on the back. All right. My number 5. And so, again, this is something I alluded to in the past episode, if you've already heard that, but I'll explain it more here. I do not want the washing away of the personality and the uniqueness of each Hogwarts house. In the fandom, there seems to be, like, real life is not the story. In real life, people are not just their people group. They're not just the things that they're into and their hobbies and all this stuff. There's so much more than that. And I think that's also a good lesson that this series should teach. But I think that should stay away from the houses, because that, I don't know, there's something fun about each house being like, we're the smart ones over here. We're the brave ones. We're the cunning ones. We're the everything else ones. I like that. And I don't want that to just be, I don't want every house to have so completely lost their uniqueness and that it's just all that's different is their colors. I don't want that. And so I do want there to be good Slytherins, but I don't want them to be the face of Slytherin. You know, I do want there to be intelligent and cunning Hufflepuffs or even evil Gryffindors, but I don't want them to be the face of it. As far as maybe in a spin-off story, sure. But for this specific story, I like keeping the houses the way they are, maybe with a little more nuance, a little more representation, but for the faces and personalities to remain the same.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also think like the system is flawed, but it's part of the story coming to terms with the fact that it's flawed. So we don't need to erase that from the beginning. Like Dumbledore saying like sometimes we sort too early, like there's a lot of things, there's a lot of themes of identity and putting people in boxes and stuff like that. That's like you learn along the way that everybody in this system is understanding that the world isn't that black and white. It's not good people and Death Eaters. It's not just you're brave only if you are in Gryffindor because you have Peter Pettigrew. It's not just that you are, loyal if you are in Hufflepuff because you have Zachariah Smith. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all these different nuances to it. And so I wouldn't want them to remove the sort of the fundamentals of the house that then we understand that there are flaws in the system because people are out of those fundamentals. Do you know what I mean?
What you could do is you could sort of show like how the specific traits of each house lend themselves to more than just what we see in the main series. So like oftentimes you'll hear with the cunning of Slytherins, them, I like when I see Muggle tests for it, talking about you'd be a good business owner, like something like showing get to it, I forget the word, but like the initiation and for those like the entrepreneurship of a Slytherin, something like that. But with each of these houses, how their personalities can lead to other things rather than just what they're used for. I'd be okay with that, but still keeping the heart of each house. But that's my number 5. What's your number 4, Brett?
So my number 4, I feel like kind of leans into and away from what you've just said, and also into something I said in the previous episode as well, which is that like I don't just want Slytherin to be the evil house. I'm okay with it being the proud house and the ambitious house and those fundamentals. But even though they are more corruptible personality traits, that doesn't mean every Slytherin has to have been corrupted. Do you know what I mean? I
like that. So, I think if I could rephrase what I just said, it'd be that. I like that.
Take it, honestly. Take it to your friends. I'm telling you, have it. But like, I do think Slughorn's heart is in the right place, even though the idea of him collecting the children who are successful is slimy and gross. I do think his heart is in the right place, and we see it in the Battle of Hogwarts. We see it as he flees the Death Eaters when he would just have a way more peaceful life if he joined them. But he doesn't, because I think his heart is in the right place. And I feel like we want students to show the same sort of thing, that sure, there are parts of them that you don't like, but their heart is in the right place. They may be, even if they are too scared to join Dumbledore's army because they don't want to go against their prefect, Draco Malfoy, having Slytherins who are clearly at least thinking about joining Dumbledore's army would carry a lot of weight, I think. And I think it fits with the themes, like we said before. I think showing that you don't just put people in boxes and know exactly who they are, that there's nuance to all of that.
Yeah. Or one cool thing you could do is like in the Battle of Hogwarts, because it says all the Slytherins just dip, or no, they don't dip. They're sent to the dungeons. Maybe you could show, yes, the Slytherins are upset about that in the book because they're like, they want to fight on the evil side, or at least they're tempted to. But you could also maybe show the disgruntledness of some of them in that, what are you talking about? We want to help you. Like we actually want to help you. Maybe that could be shown as well too.
Just to check, because I was thinking about that when I was writing this and I didn't have time to check before we jumped on. Is that a book detail as well, or is that just in the films that all the Slytherins go? Is it in the books too?
I believe they're all sent to the dungeons, yeah.
That's wild. I had it in my head that maybe a couple would stay and fight, but I guess why would they?
They're not given the option to stay and fight. McGonagall sends them all to the dungeons, so they can't get away at all.
Sure, right, that makes sense. I guess for some of them it would be like it's saving them having to choose to fight their parents in a lot of their cases.
And I guess so. I'm even okay with keeping the decision to send them all down there because maybe McGonagall knows that not all of them are bad, but she wants to spare them that aspect of it, of having to go against blood.
Yeah, but like you said, having some of them be disgruntled about it would go a long way.
Absolutely. My number 4 is I would hate, and you mentioned this in your wonderful series that we alluded to last episode, but your book to TV show, how you would do it. What are you calling that series? How should I refer to it?
How to make each season of the Harry Potter TV show good.
How to make each season of the Harry Potter TV show good.
Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
That's right. Say it 5 times fast. Babbling, bumbling band of baboons. I think I would like for them not to give away the big reveals. And so what I mean by that is some people say, well, the series has been out for so long and there's already tons of content creators that make stuff about this, like the Snape turn and Dumbledore dying, or just maybe not the Dumbledore dying one, but the mystery aspects. Maybe we could have things that allude or show what Snape was doing behind the scenes along the way. I don't want that. I want still for there to be the big reveal. One, for the kids who see it for the first time. Even if they look up the spoilers, it's still fun to watch it on screen for the first time. And so I don't want it revealed early on that Voldemort is on Quirrell's head. I don't want it revealed early on that Lupin is a werewolf. Like, of course, drop the hints like you would any good mystery, but I don't want the reveal done too soon. I don't want us to know from the jump that Snape's actually a good guy. I want that big Prince's Tale reveal as well. Not just for myself, but for the new generation as well. So that'd be my number 4.
Yeah, I'm with you. Some of my favorite videos to watch on the internet are people reading Harry Potter for the first time, like as 30-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? Or doing it now, or like showing their parents the movies for the first time and like seeing their reaction to the big moments, like the big Snape reveal and stuff. And so there are clearly a big enough like corner of the world who are not familiar with these stories at all. So like you say, give them that moment, and the kids, like 100% with you.
Very good. So number 3, Brett. What's your number 3?
For me, I don't want them to Netflix us. By which I mean, I can't remember.
There's a lot you could mean with that.
Yeah, there is. So I can't remember if it was I can't remember if it was the Duffer Brothers when Stranger Things 5 was coming out, or if it was the Netflix CEO. But somebody essentially said that there's a big practice at Netflix where certain parts of shows are written knowing that a lot of the viewers are on their phone while the TV show is on. And so they will have characters audibly recite plot points that have happened or walk you through all the nuance and just exposition dump on you.
I've never heard of this, but I mean, I've seen that happen, but I didn't hear that that's the reason.
Yeah, and I understand that we are very much in like a dual screen world where a lot of people will be watching this show while they're on their phones. I get that, but I get most joy out of media that does not handhold me or spoon feed me or walk me through things. Like, give me tiny moments that don't need explaining necessarily. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to dump everything on me. You don't need to explain everything out loud. Treat your audience with respect. Act as though they are intelligent. And it will be a better story, in my opinion.
Well, so you took the words out of my mouth right there at the end. A story that respects its audience. Another thing that I've been thinking about more as I create this podcast and this YouTube channel and all this stuff is the audience you foster being something significant to your following. When I first started putting out content, I was like, I want to say this the right way. I don't ever want to offend anybody, but I also want to be myself. And I was so terrified at the beginning of offending people that I felt like when I listened back, I'm like, sometimes I feel like I sound bland, and not wanting to offend anybody, you don't attract anyone. But even still, you got to be intentional about the audience you are fostering. And so with a TV show that doesn't show that doesn't respect its audience, it won't have a respectable audience. With a TV show that doesn't have intelligent writing, it's not going to foster an intelligent audience. So I like that point to go along with that. So I agree.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Good job, me. Another pat on the back. I can't remember if that was last episode or this one. But number 3, for me, I would say, okay, I switched it. This wasn't my number 3, but I'm going to move it to my honorable mention. Instead, for my number 3, I want no Dramini. I don't want any chance of there being like Draco and Hermione relationship, Easter eggs or moments of tension between them. I don't want that. I'm not a fan of that relationship in the fandom. And listeners, don't hate me if that's something you love. One of my co-hosts that's on my show regularly, she is a warrior for that ship. Not me. I don't enjoy it, and I don't want that to be a thing that takes place in this new series because he is this awful character who is an evil racist who does a whole lot of awful stuff and is incredibly cruel. And I just never saw why Hermione would get with somebody like him in the future. So I don't think I would enjoy that. But what do you think of that, Brett?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm exactly the same. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. If you get joy in the fandom out of like Hermione, fine. But for me, I'm just sort of like, Draco outwardly says, "I really hope it's Granger who dies." If the monster from the Chamber of Secrets is going to stop petrifying and start killing, I hope it's Granger. He, like, not to mention, like, he fat shames Molly Weasley. Like, he's truly reprehensible. And I just think Hermione has way more self-respect than to lower herself down to end up with somebody like that.
It's an affront to her character, I feel like, to put them together, you know. And again, if that's your thing, if you like shipping, if you like that side of the fandom, please indulge, have fun, but not in this.
But only a little bit of fun and not in any official capacity.
But keep it in fanfic. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you, fanfic people. But that's my number 3. Brett, what's your number 2?
My number 2 goes hand in hand with that, really, which is I don't want a reliance on fan service at all. I think nods to like fan fiction ships like Hermione is one of them, like a lingering look, like just because, even if you don't say anything explicitly, like I don't want that. I don't want cameos from anybody in the original movie series. Like, I want this to be a good story in its own merit that relies on no gimmicks. I don't want it to be like Star Wars, where you need 3 characters from other shows coming into this. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm like, don't give me like, I love Wolfstar. I love the idea that there was this like underlying tension that Sirius and Lupin had romantic feelings for each other. I do like that, but it's not in it, and only add that if it's going to add something to these characters. Don't just throw it in as a whimsical little moment to get fans talking on social media. Like, I'm not saying you can't
like cheap and sort of like baiting that side of the fandom.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't have Wolfstar. If you're going to do flashbacks into the Marauders and you genuinely can tell their stories in a compelling way that involves that, fine if it adds something, but don't just like have a picture of them holding hands with no actual character moments to it just so that you can elicit a response on the socials. Do you know what I mean?
No, I 100% agree. I think, because to me that's like trying to have your cake and eat it too. You know, it's almost a cowardly way of appealing to a certain side of the fandom.
Yeah. It's what they did with Dumbledore. They were like, oh, he is gay, but we're just not going to put any evidence of it in the text. We're just going to sort of like just say it after the fact, just to get a response or whatever. And it's like, no.
Hey,
if you're going to do
I saw the Fantastic Beasts series. He put his hand on Grindelwald's heart. All right, if that's not gay, what?
Again, I'm like, I would love for there to be some big character moments for Dumbledore where he talks about like the love that he lost and weaving that into the life and lives of Albus Dumbledore. The like, Harry didn't truly know him. Look at this love that he lost and why he holds love so dearly. I'm fine with that if it adds to his character, but don't just make reference to it for a moment just to have that response and then
Dumbledore's going on a
it.
date. You know, he said it was just some random out at the Hog's Head with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Like, only if it matters to the characters.
My number 2, so this one, it might sound confusing because when I say it, some people might go, I don't think they would consider that. I think it can go on this list because J.K. Rowling considered it to begin with. And that would be, I do not want them to kill Arthur Weasley. If you've been in the fandom, you might have heard this theory before. But originally in book 5, she was going to have Arthur killed in that incident with Nagini in the Ministry, and instead she ended up killing Sirius at the end of the book. And I don't want them to kill Arthur. I liked the decision that she ultimately went with. I like not every family having their father figure taken away from them, you know, and he's a good guy. I think the reason that would be considered is, one, like I said, it was considered to begin with, and 2, it is a change that would throw off the original audience. And I think they are going to have some of those, some just random changes that take place every once in a while. I don't want that to be one, because I also thought Arthur is, I feel like, susceptible to being killed, because I don't really think he plays any significant role after that book. You know, when I think about what his character does, it's not like he's important to the story. Um, really, in most of the books, he's like, I think book 2, yeah, and his Muggle Protection Act and all that.
Mhm.
But for the most part, he's not an integral part to the story. And so he is killable. But I don't want them to kill him. That might not be
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. He is one of the more expendable sort of supporting characters because no other major part of the plot will change, except I do think the Weasleys, going back to Stranger Things, which I know I've referenced already, the Duffer Brothers said after season 4 came out, they were like, we don't kill many characters because we don't want our main character's story to be focused on grief and mourning, but we also wouldn't want to skirt over a death. And I feel like what I wouldn't want is for them to kill Arthur, and then so much of the Weasley story is just mourning him. Do you know what I mean? Because that takes away from what their story is actually supposed to be from that point. The idea that, like, Arthur dies in the 5th book, and then the Weasley twins go on and have a very successful business, and Ron starts thinking about, like, dating in the following season, and, like, he would have bigger fish to fry. Do you know what I mean? He would be, like, mourning and grieving rather than thinking about Hermione and Lavender. So I am with you. I don't want them to change that. But I expect they will change certain things in the same way, because I think there will be contract disputes and certain actors will leave, or God forbid, certain actors won't make it to the end of the series. Like, I expect they will make changes, like you say, to throw off people who are familiar with the story already, and that could be one of them. But I don't want it. I'm with you.
Oh, no. In the 7th season, the actress playing Bellatrix gets pregnant, and so then they have to canonize Cursed Child.
Oh, no. Oh my God! Could you imagine?
They're going to have something in her contract to be like, you got to be celibate during this last season. That's what you got to do. Something like that, just in case.
I would hope if that were to happen, Bellatrix is in few enough scenes that they could do the schedule to work around her not. Like, either early enough in her pregnancy that she doesn't look like she's pregnant, or late enough that she's already given birth and done maternity leave and they've shot everything else and then her scenes come last. That would be my hope with how they deal with that.
Give her
Anything
a big enough
but
robe.
canonizing Delphine.
Yeah, give her a big enough robe that it's not an issue.
Exactly.
You know, it's all good. I remember that's like in the Friends TV show. That's why they had Phoebe get pregnant on the show, was because, well, she got pregnant in real life. Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow did. But anyway, I wanted to reference Friends because a while ago I saw you did Friends trivia with people on the street, and that made my heart so happy because I'm obsessed with Friends. Growing up from middle school all the way till my undergrad, I watched it every night going to bed. So I've probably seen the series through at least 30 times.
Nice.
And so when I saw that you did that, I was like, this guy does both of my 2 greatest interests. This is so cool.
Dude, they're my 2, them and Lost are my big ones. They're the things that I know and love the most, like Friends, Potter, and Lost.
That's awesome.
I love Friends. We went to a Friends trivia night, some friends and I, and it was like in a local bar, but like they had it was a chain bar and they had it all over the country. And so people like pooled their scores, and we were 1 point away from being the best team in the country.
Oh,
I know.
That's awesome. That's still awesome, though.
It was, except that first prize, if you were the best team, was like your entire team got an all expenses paid trip to New York. And I was like, I would take that. And second prize was like, your team has to share 2 tickets to a Friends pop-up event in London. And I'm like, that's not as fun.
Yeah, I want to feel bad for you, but I see that you travel way more than I do, so I just can't. The last little Friends thing I'll say is, when my wife and I started dating, she agreed to watch Friends with me, and she enjoyed it enough that at our wedding, when we were walking down the aisle, our walkout music was the Friends theme song.
Dude, that's
and you know how
cool.
some couples will stop in the middle of the walkout and they'll kiss? We stopped, and I put my hands up, and she did too, and everybody did the Friends
that's
clap.
so cool. I thought you were going to
cool.
say, because she loved it so much during your wedding, she allowed you to say, take the Rachel.
Her name's not even Rich. No, that'd be funny. No, we did not do that. I did not get it that wrong. But, Brett, do you have any honorable mentions before we get to number 1? Or should I say some of mine in case it jogs
you say some of yours, and it might jog my memory.
All right. One of them is, you kind of talked about this in your series, but I don't want them messing with the character of Luna. And I think one thing that I don't think they will, but it could potentially be messed with in that uh, a lot of what I hear from podcasts and people talking about her character now is if you were to put Luna in a regular public high school now, she'd be really cool. Like she'd be so cool that we would love her. Her personality lends itself to that, it seems. And I don't want them to do that. I don't want her to be like excessively bullied, of course, but I also don't want her to come across as cool, you know? And everybody's like, it's like, why are they bullying her? That doesn't make sense. I still want her to be really weird. So that's like, does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it does. I also, if they're going to lean into it, I want them to like show the dark side of Xenophilius's parenting. Like this guy is raising his kid on like conspiracy theories to the point where she is being ridiculed in school for it. She is going home to a place with a highly explosive erumpment horn. Like she's not believing her textbooks. She's arguing with her teachers. Like that is essentially abusive parenting. And I don't want them to shy away from that with Xenophilius. I want them to show us the dark side of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My other one was, I think I have maybe 2 or 3 more. I had a lot of honorable mentions for this one.
Nice.
We said it, but I already mentioned it, but the no cursed child stuff. And I don't want any more time turner stuff. Like I don't want more people going back in time. Like you said, a good time travel story done well, that's one thing. But I would be afraid of them messing with canon too much by adding, oh, turns out McGonagall also had a time turner and she would do these other things. That wouldn't be fun to me. I don't think I would enjoy that. I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong on any of these and turn out to actually enjoy it. But I wouldn't want any more time turner stuff, at least at this moment. In our previous episode, we talked about how it would be cool for ancient magic to be mentioned more, like from the Hogwarts Legacy series. I would hate for them to, and I listed some characters I would want to have ancient magic. I would hate for Harry to have access to ancient magic, though that's listed in the, like it's the, and if you didn't hear the previous episode, ancient magic from Hogwarts Legacy, it's like this unique brand of magic that makes your character in Hogwarts Legacy very powerful. And it seems like there are allusions to it in the series at times, in the main Harry Potter series. At least you could finagle it enough. I would hate for Harry to have access to that though, because Harry's specialness comes from the fact that like, one, he's brave, but also people sacrifice themselves for him. And so to give him this unique ability, I feel like undermines their sacrifices. And I would hate for him to have that be part of his character. Because sometimes too, we go, why is he so good at defense against the dark arts? Why is he such a good battle wizard? Why does he have this incredible talent? And I like that. I like that is more just Harry being himself. Rather than something like special about him in that way, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
But I don't want that taken from him.
No, I also think that it kind of like falls in line with like, whilst I don't like the idea of like pure and powerful bloodlines, it's sort of like he's supposed to be a descendant of the Peveril brothers. And like Voldemort is so powerful and he's a descendant of Slytherin, who is also so powerful. And like, I know there's a theory, I don't know if it was confirmed, but there's a theory that like Dumbledore was a descendant of one of the other Peveril brothers. And it's like, I like the idea that maybe that's why they are innately quite good at magic as well. But like, I don't mind Voldemort and Dumbledore having ancient magic, but you're right. I think it cheapens a lot of Harry's journey. If it's just like, oh, it's only because he was the chosen one, which is the antithesis of the prophecy story, right? Dumbledore says to Harry, it's not because of the prophecy that he is the chosen one. It's because Voldemort chose him. He says it's not because of the prophecy that he has to defeat Voldemort. It's because Harry won't rest until he does, because that's the kind of person he was. And having this like innate ancient magic within him, and that's the reason why he's all of these things, I think takes away from the autonomy of it.
100% agree. Loved how you said that. My last honorable mention is I'm scared, given what happens on so many TV shows today, that they won't do the politics of the wizarding world well. Don't get me wrong, I think modern politics can be so corrupt and have so many issues with it across all types of government, and that needs to be called out. But I like what I don't want is for Fudge to look exactly like some political figure that is alive today. I don't want that call out necessarily. I like it to be a little more vague, as far as individuals go. But you could show the corrupt system. You can show the fascist nature that the ministry turns into. But I'm just scared that would turn into like finger pointing that would turn off half the audience, if that makes sense. And I like how the original series did it, in that it's not necessarily calling out individuals, but the system itself.
I think you're exactly right. I think Cornelius Fudge doesn't need to be an individual person, because so much of this corruption has been present in so many political figures through the years that it's like he's an amalgamation, right? And it's like, you're absolutely right. In a world of like misinformation and weaponizing like media outlets and weaponizing media and like data collection and stuff like that, the system itself is the corruption. The politics and media, it's the ecosystems that we politicize rather than necessarily being like, look who Cornelius Fudge is. Like, yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because no matter who the political leader in the world is at the time, they have supporters and they have detractors. And if you make Fudge or whoever look like that particular person, what you do is you run the risk of not teaching the people who you're wanting to teach. You're going to shut them off to the message before you ever even get to the point, get to the lesson, And
because I think people get defensive if they start seeing someone they don't want to see in that way.
Exactly. So that's my take on that one. That's my last honorable mention. Did you have any?
Yeah. So I don't want them to over commoditize or like merch lead with anything. Like, I don't want them to give Care of Magical Creatures loads and loads of screen time just because they can sell products off the back of it. And in the same vein, I don't want them to throw in any like Fantastic Beasts retcons, just like validate them. Like the fact that they changed how old McGonagall was and how long she'd been teaching at Hogwarts. Like, just scrap it. Just stick with how long McGonagall was supposed to have been there. Let's pretend that Fantastic Beasts didn't happen.
Let's just pretend. Everybody might be happier. Who knows? Hey, you know what? It didn't happen. We just start saying that. I don't know what you're talking about, Brett. I don't have no idea. I would like, I guess, to see maybe, I would like to hear Hagrid talking about Newt, because I think they might have interacted. I think that's about as far as I would take it, but something like that potentially.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. I'm not saying we have to pretend these characters didn't exist, but I'm like, if the Fantastic Beasts movies retconned anything from Harry Potter or changed anything, I don't want them to like validate that in the show by being like, hey, look, we're doubling down on this change. I want them to ignore those changes. For that reason,
Dumbledore being like, see this phoenix? I got it from my nephew Aurelius.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, hey, Nagini used to be a woman, by the way.
Did you know?
Did you know? I don't think we need anything that on the nose,
Understood. Well, did you have any more before we move on to our number ones?
I think I'm ready to jump into number ones.
Number one. Brett, what is the number one thing you do not want them to change about Harry Potter in the HBO show?
I really, really don't want them to soften Severus Snape. I think Snape is cruel and evil and awful, and even though he is technically on the right side of history, every day-to-day life decision that he makes is absolutely reprehensible. Like, this man who supposedly is feeling guilt and shame, who caused the death of Lily Potter by turning over the prophecy, and is now apparently willing to give his life to protect her son, also, like, bullies him every single day. Also, like, when Hermione was there and her teeth were growing and she was sobbing with her, like, one of her deepest insecurities, and he's like, I see no difference. Like, this is an awful man. When he threatens to poison Neville's toad, this man is horrendous, and I don't want them to soften that. I want to see every aspect of that ugly personality. Yeah,
we covered, to me, that specific one with Hermione is, like, it's the most unforgivable, like, normal, awful thing that he does. And when we did that on the pod, like, I was so sad, and I hated him so much in that moment. And people kind of get a little twisted because we like Alan Rickman. And given the fact that JK told him the ending of the story and the way he acted certain scenes, I think specifically of him protecting the trio from Lupin in the
Prisoner
of Azkaban scene. Yeah,
that's the moment I think of all the time.
Yeah, and so we have this interpretation. That's one thing I get worried about is, so with the trailer, I enjoyed the interpretation, like from the little that I saw, but. And forgive me if I mispronounce the name, but Papa Siju's presentation of Snape. I thought this could work because there's a lot of talk about him as Snape.
Yeah.
And I really don't think, by and large, like I saw a video with Professor Julian, where he mentioned like, yeah, race, like skin color, isn't as big of a deal in the wizarding world as blood status. 100%. So to me, Snape's skin color isn't that important to the story. But what would be a crying shame is, and this was just slight pushback against what you said, although I agree 100%, it's just a worry that I have. If they make him as evil as he actually is, that would give more of the movie-only watchers reason to dislike him because they knew Alan Rickman and his somewhat kinder portrayal as Snape. I agree that that's what I want them to do with Snape, to make him more evil and despicable. But that's the only like worry I have about it.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think you're right. I think Prof. JW has the most apt takes on the Snape stuff that I have seen, and I would suggest anyone go and watch those if they have thoughts about the casting of Snape. But for me, from a pure story perspective, that is Snape. Snape is cruel. Snape is twisted. This is the person who chose to be a Death Eater, who chose to call his best friend, the only person who really gave him any grace at Hogwarts, a mudblood. This is just who he is. It's at the core of him. And if anything, like I do feel like that plays into the fact that he was still self-sacrificing despite being that kind of a person. I do feel like it all marries up in the perfect combination of his story. But I feel like we need those moments from him, from his character.
I think those moments make the twist that much more significant, because that's what we have seen of him, and that gives us reason to believe that he's not good. At least he's not totally bad, is how I usually say it. So I agree 100%. My number one, it's very similar to that one. I do not want them making Voldemort gray or less evil. I want him completely evil as he is. I just finished the Goblet of Fire audiobook, the new one. And that actor's portrayal, and that voice actor in the new full cast audiobooks, is so menacing, so terrifying. He sounds like this crazy megalomaniac. I loved it. I don't love that, but you know what I mean? Like, I love the portrayal. It was very cool and very well done. And I think culturally, a lot of our stories are starting to swing away from morally gray characters and getting a bit back towards some black and white things, just as far as like teaching points. I'm seeing that a lot more. But there was a long stretch of time that in most commentary on things, I would see people say, oh, I hate a villain that's evil for the sake of evil, or I hate a good guy who's just pure good. But like, you know what? I watched the Superman movie this past year that just came out. That inspired me. Like I'm kind of done with anti-heroes right now. I'm cool. I'm big on the heroes that make me want to be a better person. And in the same way, I'm also big on the villains who make me truly terrified of evil. And I think Voldemort in the Harry Potter series is that. And I guess you could make an argument for not his grayness, but how he became evil. Like, so you could, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if I would agree, but you could make an argument that he's not evil for the sake of evil. But at the very least, he is pure evil. That's at least where he ended up. And I would not want them to change that. I don't want them making him sympathetic, maybe in the origin story a little bit, but as far as who he actually is in the present, 100% evil, I think that would be what I want the most.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right with your, as you rounded that off when you said like he's not evil for the sake of being evil, but he is pure evil. I think you're right, because it's like we know his motivations are not just be evil. It's live forever. It's endless pursuit of power for eternity. And there are moments in The Half-Blood Prince where Dumbledore says to Harry, like, Voldemort didn't grow up in a house of love. Like, he never experienced love. His mother chose to die rather than live without love, and she gave him up when she could have saved herself with magic because she was too, she didn't want to use the magic to save herself because of everything she'd gone through with his father. I do think there are moments of sympathy enough in that story that I agree. I don't think the show needs to give us anything additional. Before he was too far gone, when he was a child, an orphan child, people could have felt sympathy for him. but he's too far gone. He is pure evil. He has enough motivations for us to believe why he is pure evil, and everything we get in the story is enough. I think you're absolutely right. I don't think we need to add to that at all.
Yeah, because I mean, he's already ripped his soul into several different pieces. He's not human anymore, so you don't need to humanize him. And I really liked in the movies the portrayal of young Voldemort, and because he didn't even come off as sympathetic as young Voldemort. He was such this like twisted evil kid. And again, because of unfortunate circumstances, like it's not 100% your fault that you ended that way, but that you ended up in this position. But still, as we've already said, you've made your decisions moving forward. He's evil. I don't want it to be like, oh, we feel bad for him now. I think it's okay to have an evil villain who's evil for the sake of evil, to show us why that is terrible and why that is terrifying and as insidious as it really is. I don't necessarily. Don't get me wrong. I love redemption. Heck, that's my religion. I believe in redemption. But I also don't like the idea of looking at something evil and finding, oh, in some ways it's good, you know? I remember a long time ago, my wife and I were watching this TV show where we only watched like 2 episodes of it, where the love interest is this guy who's like abusive. And we had been told that, hey, if after a while he starts to make more sense. And I was like, I don't want this type of a character to become palatable to me. You know, I don't want him to become something I want to watch. So that's kind of my fear with making Voldemort somewhat sympathetic. And just the evilness is terrifying. And I enjoy that aspect of the story in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I agree. And we have the relatable evil in Umbridge, right? She's the evil we can all relate to. We all know people who abuse their power. Like, we have the sort of like murky motivation bad guy in Snape. Like, we have the corrupt bad guy, like who's like blithering idiot who's just like corrupt in the pursuit of power, and that's Fudge, who doesn't want to lose his position of power. Like,
you got the classmate Zachariah Smith that
exactly
everybody hates. You know,
you have so many nuanced versions of bad people. Like, I think Voldemort lives in his own square of that grid, and he's fine there. I don't think we need to move him. I'm with you.
There's one paragraph that it's near the end of Goblet of Fire, before the 3rd task, when Harry is thinking about what happened to Neville, because he's laying in his bed and he looks over at Neville and he's like, oh shoot, I often get sympathy because I'm an orphan. Nobody gives Neville sympathy. Nobody talks about him or feels bad for him. And then he starts to get mad on Neville's behalf, and then he gets mad about Barty Crouch Jr. And then he goes, but then he feels sympathy because he's like, but then he remembered the pale face of a teenage kid. And then he traces it all back to Voldemort. And he says, this guy's the reason for all the pain and all the loss and all the suffering. So I think it's important to like protect that aspect of the story of all of the worst pain in this story comes from this individual.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah. So that's my number 1. And I think that's everything we got, Brett. Did you have any more thoughts?
No, I think we've covered all of Brett's thoughts.
Very good. You see what I did there, listeners? That's a pun because his name is Brett's Thoughts. I'm so clever. Another pat on the back. I got one more to round it out. But Brett, that was a wonderful episode. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for doing this with me. I enjoyed having you on. Always love getting to talk to you. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And one last time, Brett, if they want to find you, where can they find you?
I am Brett's Thoughts across the internet. It's Brett's.thoughts on Instagram for username logistic reasons. But Brett's Thoughts, if you type it in, you'll find me on any platform pretty much. I talk about Harry Potter, Lost, a bunch of other TV shows, but it's Harry Potter is my bread and butter.
I also saw you talking about the Lord of the Rings video game. Super excited for that to come out. Hope it's amazing. Hope it's as epic as everybody's saying it's going to be, because that would make my Lord of the Rings heart very happy as well.
Oh, dude, same.
One day I'll retell that too. So
Nice.
Anyway, Brett, again, thank you for being on. We loved having you. And listeners, you have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to check out more of me talking about Harry Potter, be sure to check out my podcast, Retold, a fantasy podcast, where I go through the Harry Potter books 2 chapters at a time, talking about all the things that happen in the book. We play trivia and do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. If you want to support the channel and get bonus content, you can sign up for my Patreon at patreon.com/retoldpodcast. Currently, at the time of this recording, it's brand new, so no bonus content on there yet, but that's going to start coming out very soon. My friends and I will be talking about the Hogwarts mystery storyline. We'll be recapping famous fan fiction. We'll play trivia games and have a whole bunch more Potter discussions. So yeah, if you want to support, please be sure to check that out. Just free memberships right now. But anyway, thank you for watching. Like I said, have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to Retold. Artwork for this podcast was created by Rachel Ortlip. Music was created by Taylor Jarvis. And the Retold podcast is produced by me. That's right, I made this.